Hello, everybody. This is Love from Above with your Sibling Spirit Guides. I'm Maureen, and this is my brother.
Hey Maureen, hey everyone, this is Brian.
Hey, Brian, if you can believe this, on this podcast, we share daily channelings we receive from star beings, ascended masters, mythical beings who really exist, and occasionally our ancestors. And today we're going to talk about light, intuition, and guidance. Yeah, Brian, that is so important, right?
Absolutely, yeah, some good topics. Um, I don't know, I was mentioned before, it seems like there's a lot going on these days, and there's a really a lot of profound channelings that we're getting, and so it is, really interesting, a lot of good stuff to share. So excited to do so.
Yeah, so I'll kick us off with a channeling that came in on March 8th of 2025 about light, perception, and alignment. And they began by saying, there are those who can share with you important knowledge retained for others who can see the truth. Who doesn't want to see the truth? Sign me up. Are you ready, willing to acknowledge the fabric of reality that really exists? Imagine a web, for that is what the holographic reality is truly like. If each person spins out from their persona a radiant disk of light, attracting others who can see their shining glory. For the other is witness to your holographic frame. Okay, I got to stop right there. We get a lot of messages about our holographic reality. I think about like those, I don't, what do they call them, Brian? Like from Apple, where you put it over your eyes and you can see your computer screen in 3D.
Oh
Um,
yeah, the virtual reality.
yeah. So it's kind of mind-boggling to think that this reality is a holographic reality, right?
Yeah, I know. I know. And then yeah, yeah, so that's exactly right because we everyone thinks this is the real world, but then they go on to say the true reality exists most often in the sleeping realms where opportunities are given to adjust the so-called events of a perfect person's life. So think about that. I mean, you can adjust your, I love it, the so-called events. You can adjust the events of your life in your sleep. I mean, this is getting deep, people, but anyway, it says the adjustments or attunements that correct frequencies of harmful matter. The television is an apt analogy for this important discussion. That action does not take place inside the tubes that form the actual device. Um, your minds have become used to this miraculous event where recordings are transmitted over electrical wires. The same is true within your holographic world. Um, what you see is not fully present. So, yeah, this is pretty deep, Maureen. But this is um, uh, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I just go back to the movie The Matrix. What is it? Do you want to take the green pill or the red pill or
Something like that.
whatever?
Yeah.
It's like, it's just really hard to fathom. But I find it fascinating that they say that, like you pointed out, that the dream reality is more real than our so-called events. You know what I mean? Think about the major events of your life, like the birth of your children, the meeting of your spouse, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, it boggles the mind. I'll go on. They say the technical sensations of the senses are an illusion of the touch of physical matter. If you were to observe a nest of cables, you would rightly assume that they were assembled for a particular purpose. In the same manner, the nest of web-like structures within your own individual holographic self pulls towards creating your ultimate reality. Imagine if you were in a tilt-a-whirl at the amusement park where the centrifugation allows for the suspension of belief where your feet occupy a place on the ground. Okay, I'm just going to stop there. I know, Brian, that was like your favorite when we went to Cedar Point growing up. But for those of you who don't know, the tilt-a-whirl, it goes around and around and around, and then the floor drops, and you're still stuck to the side of the ride, right?
Well, yeah, I think it's the same idea. I don't know. A tilt-a-whirl may spin and go around. I think it's more like, um, yeah, it's like just a thing that goes really fast around a circle. And the floor dropping is, I think, a different one. But yeah, it's the same idea, is that the centrifugal force is what's sort of at play in those rides. But yeah, that was my I used to love this ride where you go on and the floor would drop, until one time I did, like, some kid puked all over the place, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm like,
I remember.
so
Um, yeah, but they go on to say your reality has been miraculously altered. The same can occur in each and every moment of your individual lives. The important act of partnering with your angelic light forces that assist with your daily manipulating of your light source to the optimal frequency is imperative to achieve goals for our parties. So again, we get this message over and over again. You got to ask for help. You're always surrounded by these heavenly divine beings, and they're there to help, but it requires your participation to join in union with them.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, and then they go ahead of one other analogy, and they said, so we provide one additional analogy that of the ever-present horizon. The horizon, when you look out in nature and can fully see the fields before you disappear into the ever-expanding distance. If you were to walk towards that distance, the distance between you and the horizon would never become altered. This is not a miraculous observation. So, yeah, that's that's just another good analogy there. But so a lot to unpack on this one, but I do think it's really, like I said, there's a very lot of deep messages that we're getting, and I'm enjoying them.
Yeah, and now that we've been doing this for 2 years, you can see a lot of them are reaffirming in a different way, with different analogies, but reaffirming older messages that we've received. And this one, I mean, I think we did a podcast on the holographic reality because we've received so many messages. So I don't know, for me, that I take comfort in that. If you ever get stressed, you're like, okay, well, my dreams are more real. It's like, why is this stressing me out? It's not even real. So, yeah, important thing to consider as you go forward in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, do you want to go on with the next topic?
Yeah, so the next one covers intuition, patterns, and expansion. This is from March 13th, 2025. So, how can one discern the correct information for one's own personal life path? It is not as if your direction is unique, for many travel in the same path. Humans like to clump together with like-minded individuals. These groupings represent greater growing of love within the one creator. Uh, so they go on to say, we provide an analogy. Imagine you were imprisoned. The individual cell would be one container. The prison itself is a second container. However, the greater world within everything to offer beyond that. However, there is the greater world with everything to offer beyond that. Um, in the analogy we provide, your body, your soul, yourself is the individual I'm sorry, the individual cell. The prison itself is the groupings with which you habituate, but the greater world beyond the one which you presently enjoy. There's still, I'm sorry, there is a greater world beyond the one which you presently enjoy. So, I know they go on with another analogy, but I do like the message. There's people get sort of fixated on their own sort of routines, and not you. And I try not to, as I'm about to take a trip, but it's good to, get out and experience other aspects of the world, right?
Yeah, and even though I'm always traveling, there's a routine to that. And, it's breaking out of that routine and or finding something different. Like right now I'm in Lima, Peru, and this is my third visit here. And I think I've seen most everything, but it's like, no, I got to go out there and find something that's new. And, I'm staying someplace new in a new part of town. So, but yeah, they go on and they give another analogy. And I think this is the best way, honestly, and often through, social media or television or whatever, they say it gives us glimpses of different worlds. So say you were in Russia living in a palace and transferred spots within the planet to a different locale. This would be similar to opening doors to new, fresh opportunities. The transition can be mild or vast. It does not matter. It is the concept of recognizing the world beyond which you can live, beyond your individual planets. So, yeah, I mean, if you're living in a certain locale, I mean, imagine something beyond what is normal for you. You know what I mean? So, is another way to grow in the love and the light of the one creator, right?
Yeah, I do like that. It's I know people just get stuck, so it's just important that they keep that in mind. Um, but now they go on to their favorite topic that we keep on bringing up, that again, that we address the concepts of mathematical knowledge, which go unheralded in your present culture. Um, so shame on us. The numbers that you see on a daily basis do offer glimmers of possibilities of your potential future. So locking onto these numbers is essential for receiving important messages. Imagine that you were a general in a battle. You would need the coordinates of where your military forces should go. In the same way, the human who recognizes the numerical patterns that are present within their life can follow a more glorified path to reunite with the all. So let me stop there. So, what do you think of that? That there's constantly, I guess, patterns being presented to us and messages being sent to us that we're not picking up on, which you know, I understand but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm big into numbers. I mean, I look up numbers all the time. I get numbers a lot in dreams. I was just telling Brian before we started recording. I think I got the number 436. And I was woken up from a dream and I that was the number. And so then I write it down and I look it up in the morning. And today, so yesterday was the equinox for when we're recording. And I had a day where I just was really very floaty all day. And today, every time I look at the clock, like the numbers are totally imbalanced. So it's like 12:12 or 12:21. So when I look at that, I take that, the day devoted to the equinox, that I'm like balanced because those numbers are balanced. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get a lot of the angel numbers all the time where I'm not actively looking for, but when I happen to look at the time, it's 111 or 222 or something like that. So, or 444. So it's, and I'm not checking the time all the time, but just once in a while I'll see, oh, what time is it? And it's, a lot of times that I get a message like that. But I think there's more that we're missing I think what they're going
Oh
to get.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I have no doubt. I have no doubt. We've been schooled on this mathematics for 2 years now. So, yeah, so they go on to say it's as simple as examining the power of repetitive patterns and as complex as noting the separation between the numbers you fail to understand. We provide more information to make this important information attainable. Okay, so say you saw a pattern, a geometric pattern. Geometric patterns are mathematically related. Should you go throughout your day and see a series of repetitive shapes, this is indeed a message for you to follow. So yeah, I mean, just think about that. You go and see a bunch of repetitive shapes, which actually now that I'm thinking of this, there are a bunch of repetitive shapes that I'm seeing right now, and that has a meaning. I don't know. I got to think about this one. What do you think, Brian?
yeah, I'm not clear because I mean, how do you follow that? I guess you're acknowledge it, but I'm not clear on how what you're supposed to take, what action you're supposed to take with that. You know what I mean? But they they do go on and say equally as important as the other messages that you receive, and they were, I guess, laughing because they said the brother sister pair received multiple messages. Um, Other people know as well. It's their sensation of following their gut, listening to their intuition, and being guided by that inner voice, which shall never steer them wrong, which of course we do get those messages. But it's something to be aware of. So I have been looking at numbers, but I have not been trying to, look out for repetitive shapes. So that's gonna attune me to that now and see if, I don't know where it's gonna take us, but it is an interesting message, I thought.
Yeah, I'll post today on Twitter the repetitive shape that I'm seeing in Peru. And you know what I would look up is runes. So, the ancient runes to see if there's a rune that, represents this shape. And then those runes all, each one has a meaning. But yeah, it's just again, I have to just say it's like, fascinating and mind altering and yeah, so much to think about. I'll go on with the next, which is ethereal guidance. Gosh, who doesn't want ethereal guidance? Sign me up. This was from March 16th of 2025. Darling daughter and beloved son, we rush to welcome you into our loving circle of trust, which benefits those who can enter. We liken our experience with humankind as creaking open a long shuttered door that has long hidden from those who long to enter. We come forth as terminators of old ways, for the new must be born. There is no stopping onward progression that comes forth. We liken our station to the ultimate mastery of opening the block treasures hidden from those who long sought to enter these realms. So I'm going to stop right there. Again, this goes to what you said at the top of the show that, there's, this is really a time of forward progression, that there's a lot going on the planet right now, right?
Right. Definitely. Yeah, it's exciting time to be alive for sure. Um, yeah, so I'll go on. They say many journey to witness the multitude gathered and present. So we've heard that before, that there's so many beings here, that just present to take part and help out and participate. But um, they said it's like one of your festivals where parties go on for days, weeks, months, and many have prepared for this ultimate reunion. We liken our beings to the sun. We are ever present, though you may not be able to sense our location. The sun is hidden from the earth, but that does not mean the sun is not ever present. The same applies for our loving selves. We care and nurture for those who receive our messages, which come in the form of a tingling on the sensory body parts. These repeating occurrences allow us to remind you that your journey is shared and often guided from above. We use this signals or symbols to alert our dearest precious brethren of upcoming choices that they should engage with. So that's interesting because I mean, I always get these sort of tinglings, and I'm always just thinking that, oh, it means I'm in alignment, but I have to be cognizant that it could also mean that they're signaling of an upcoming choice that I should engage with. So, do you get something like that? And what do you think?
Yeah. I actually, right now, the left, so it's for me, it's always the left side of my head. And right now, it's just super tingly. So, and I always took it as kind of like either an exclamation point, like when I'm saying yes, yes, like their
Right.
heralding is, or like an opportunity to pause, like, with their analogy of the grocery store. Do you really want to, buy a chocolate candy bar? Might not be the best choice or whatever it is, but it amazes me. And Brian, I don't know if I ever told you this, but this was years ago. It's the smallest of details. It was that time where I took care of your kids for 3 weeks, and I was getting the tingling sensation while the kids were all, so I had 5 kids in my house, and I love to work out every day, and I had a home gym, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're all happy. I'm gonna run up to the home gym and just work out really quickly. And I was working out and I could feel that tingling sensation on my head. And I knew it was get off that bike and go down and check on the kids. But I was like, oh, I haven't worked out in a week. Blah, blah, blah. And um and I didn't listen. I was like, oh, 5 more minutes, it'll be good. And your youngest came up in tears and I was like, oh geez. I had been warned. I had been absolutely warned, but it's so, you get these messages all the time and it's plugging into them. But like I said, for me, it's always the left side of my head. And I know a lot of people talk about the hairs on their arms raising, but for me, it's tingling on the left side of my head.
Yeah, interesting. Um, so they go on to provide another analogy. It says the selection of a can in the grocery store. Should you feel the tingling sensation, we are indeed speaking through your body to be receptive to these signals, enhances your loving days. Listen for the feel of our ethereal touch to augment the sensations which we provide. Say you question the authority of a like-minded individual and their hair and the hairs on your arms raise. It's our intervention to point you to the right direction. And you may utilize these statements in podcast learning. Uh, Language is important. It's like learning to walk. Once you grasp the method, you shall soon be flying. So, um, yeah, so it's, I guess I was always reading that, oh, it's a good, like you were saying, yes, or I'm aligned, or it's, but I do have to think that maybe, no, you stop what you're doing, or there's a choice, or just, I don't know, I have to think about that too, because I get these all the time. For me, it's mostly in like the crown, or sometimes my right temple, but it's always in my head, a tingling. So yeah, it's interesting to like of course I'm feeling it right now, of course, but those are I think just more of an alignment one, but it's um interesting to try and be cognizant when these type of things happen and maybe act on them differently.
Yeah, I think that their concept that is like learning a new language. So both you and I study Spanish. So, it's just learning, trial and error and figure out what is the um, correct message. But it's interesting that both of us are feeling the tingling right now.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, and it's just another, I take great comfort in this, that we're never alone, that we're always surrounded by, these loving beings who are here to assist us, like in a really personal way, with small things and large things. And so, I take great comfort in that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, they have always talked about they really look out for us and really feel cared for. And it's not just us, it's everyone. But I mean, we're just, um, you know, sharing these messages, but that goes for anyone. So I think if people would realize that, you're not alone and you have all the support in place, I think it's something we can all take advantage of.
Yeah, it's a beautiful message, which speaking about beautiful messages, do you want to go on to the closing? This is really
Don't get to it.
okay, so this is a beautiful message from March 4th of 2025. A grape becomes wine, but this process involves much manipulation and fermentation. The same is true for humans. You grow on the vine. Now is the time of harvest, when you shall be plucked at your ripest. This is a beginning of a new heralded phase. Just like the grape is never on the solitary journey, neither are you. Many attend to your wishes and desires. That is all. Rest and go in peace. So again, Brian, that just to me points that, we are really at um a crucial time because, we're at our ripest and we're being plucked from the vine to be fermented and transformed into um, a totally different entity.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, we've gotten so many different messages. Another recent message just talked about like all the, they talk about all the, eh, you know, and beings that are here to help and that they're all working on attuning to your individual needs for what's going on here. And there's all these upgrades and all that. So it's interesting. We're constantly being worked on, all of us, and so it's like it's trying to I think it's yeah, just as we've talked, it's a very exciting time.
Yeah. So I'm grateful, brother. Great podcast. Thank you for everybody to listen. We'll talk to you all next week.